Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. Okay, I need to do a better job. Random reviews from the Overflow room. There. That's better. And today, as we move backwards through the alphabet, we have hit the L's. We did Ludoslavsky, and now we're doing Lully. I have a small but select Lully pile down here in the Overflow room. Most of it is upstairs. The reason is simple. Lully recordings are a fairly recent thing. There have always been some, and the period instrument movement has slowly gotten its act together when it comes to doing Lully, but boy, there's been a lot lately. And so I have a big whopping pile up there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about half a dozen recordings down here, but they are good ones, I have to say. We have Phaeton. You know these things. These are all tragedies in music, basically. It's a tragédie en musique. Yes, that's what it says it is. Most of the libretti were by Philippe Queneau, except for the comedy ballets, with the stories by Molière. He wrote about, about 16 or so, 17 tragedies, big operatic tragedies. There's another dozen comedy ballets, about 30 ballet divertissement things, and some sacred music. I mean, it's a really solid output. Good stuff. He lived from 1632 to 1687. He died of gangrene. As some of you might know the story, he had a staff that he used to conduct. Apparently, he would pound the floor, which must have sounded just lovely while the music was going on. And he whacked his toe, and it got infected. And he refused to have it amputated, and he died. He was actually on the way out anyway. He was in trouble with the court because of his various homosexual encounters with certain people around the king and queen and whatnot. You could get away with just about anything as long as you kept it quiet. But apparently, he didn't keep it quiet enough. That's a whole other issue. Let's look at the music, shall we? We've got, Phaeton with Mark Minkowski and Les Musiciens du Louvre on Erato with the, who's singing here? And do we care? Yes, Howard Crook, Rachel Yakar, Jennifer Smith, Véronique Jean, all the good French opera people are in this, and they sound quite operatically French. Lully invented French opera, especially these tragedies. He invented the French orchestra, the baroque orchestra, as it was known in France. He was just enormously important. And the reason he became important was because in France, which very, very early had a strongly centralized government, he had the right to take control of French theatrical music, which he did with a vengeance. And so he happened to be a great composer. Thank goodness they didn't pick a dud. He was able to codify and basically structuralize the entire mechanics of French opera and French operatic performance, which was all taking place in and around Paris. It was a one-man show for quite a long time. And his kids got his titles after he was dead, too, by the way. Aside from the homosexual encounters, he did have a bunch of children as well. So that was handy for him. Then we have Acis and Galatea, Assis et Galatea, which is actually known as a heroic pastoral. We all know the story from Handel's famous Acis and Galatea, don't we? It's the same thing. And we've got Jean-Paul Fouché-Court, Véronique Jean, Laurent Naouri, Mireille Delunch, Howard Crook. Yes, all of those famous people. This is another Minkowski production on Archive, which is quite lovely. I mean, his music is fun. His dance music is wonderful. I mean, Rameau sort of eclipsed him in the 18th century. Lully was 17th century, but he still was apparently leagues ahead of his predecessors when it came to creating vivid orchestral effects and rhythmically vivacious dances. Apparently, court dancing in France was pretty droopy before he came along. He was Italian, by the way. he adopted French nationality. And then we've got Attis. Oh, this is famous. This is one of his earliest, one of the earliest of his tragédies lyriques, or whatever you call them, to be recorded. This was just called Tragedy in 5 acts. This is with William Christie and Les Arts Florissants. One, Harmonia Mundi, with an excellent cast, really a first-class group. You have Guy de Maille and Guillemette Laurent and Agnès Mellon and Jean-François Gardet as the most famous people. Most of the important people. Véronique Jean is in here, and other people like that. And it's really fun. Let me see how they did this. Let's see. All those present at the Opéra Comique in Paris in January 1987 have a vivid memory of this key moment when an amazed France rediscovered a hitherto forgotten genre, the tragédie en musique, an unprecedented triumph on stage, followed by an international success on record. Attis was also the starting point for a new view of French Baroque music. To mark the 30th anniversary of Les Arts Florissants, this copiously illustrated CD book pays tribute to the pioneering work of William Christie and his team. Yes, it was pioneering. It was recorded in 1987. And that was really, it was, in fact, really the beginning of the major Lully revival. And now his works are performed pretty regularly. It's certainly recorded. Then we've got Roland, with Christophe Rousset and Les Talents Lyriques. And let's see who else is in this one. We've got Nicolas Testet, Anna Maria Panzarella, Olivier Dumay, Monique Zanetti, and other people like that. And this is one of those sets. It's on Ambroisie, which is a boutique independent label where, the booklet sort of falls out from underneath it if you're not careful how you hang on to it. But you get a booklet with libretto, and that's what's important. And then last but not least, this lovely Jordi Savall disc. This is always wonderful. The Orchestra of the Sun God. You get the suite from Le Bourgeois Gentilhomme, the real one, not Richard Strauss's, the actual Lully one. And you get the suite from, you get Le Divertissement Royal and Alceste. That's what you get. And the Chacun from L'Amour Médecin, which is also another Molière specialty, with Le Concert des Nations. This was a wonderful disc that I got when it came out on Alia Vox, before Savall started doing horrible things like Beethoven. He never should have done that. But anyway, there you have it. That's Lully in the Overflow Room. A little pile, but a representative one. I mean, there's tons more music to be had at this point. And it's kind of a remarkable thing, the recovery of all this music and the performance and the discovery that, aside from the usual folderol where, the prelude or the prologue to all these things is a tribute to, the king and all that stuff. And the muses come and hop around and whatnot. Once you get to the story, there's some really cool stuff in there. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.